going. Okay. So, after Squidward's suicide, we need something not as dark, something that is just regular bad to kind of balance it out.
I want to gargle glass.
We found another story. It's slightly shorter. It's called The Real Chuck E. Cheese. It actually is not on the Creepypasta wiki. I found this on Facebook, and Zach found it on Wattpad. So that should immediately tell us the quality of what we are reading. You know what? I'm probably just going to, because I had my backup recording, I'm probably just going to cut. I'm gonna grab the first part of what we recorded before, and just slap it onto the start of this, because that was great. So here we go. The real Chuck E. Cheese. Have you ever thought that there was something the creators of Chuck E. Cheese were hiding something from us all?
I don't think about that because I don't go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, let me just read that again. Have you ever thought that there was something the creators of Chuck E. Cheese were hiding something from us all? It's just the first sentence, and it's already screwed up.
You done fucked up now!
Or have you ever found something to be off about the place? Again, with the somethings.
You sure this isn't a Five Nights at Freddy's story? Because I just read the next sentence, and I'm like, hey, what?
Well, to be fair, they do have the robotic mascots on the stage at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Even the creepy robotic mascots that danced on stage, I didn't until I found out the truth about Chuck E. Cheese. It all began on a stormy night.
Seriously.
It all began on the first time I had ever visited the place. I was around the age of 5 or 6, so I, of course, was pretty ecstatic to go. Seeing all those commercials of kids eating pizza and running around without a care in the world, on arcade games, and on the play structure made me almost get down on my hands and knees to plead and beg my mom to take me.
Filthy slut. I mean, you know, nothing like shoving cheap pizza down your mouth hole and listening to kids scream for hours on end. Nat, die! Sorry, I got distracted.
You need to do something about those gnats.
I'm trying. I have a fly swatter.
Alright, I need to compose myself.
Shit together. I don't know what you gotta do, but get your shit in the bag. Just get it together.
Alright. Oh man.
Do you want me to take over for a little bit?
No. Oh, please do. I'm
Alright.
I'm dying.
After finally getting to her break, she took me. Oh. I was the happiest kid in the whole world. This is appropriate. Oh. My mom drove me over just a few hours before evening, so maybe around 4:30 or so. I almost knocked over the woman at the door who gave you the little stamp on your hand, running ahead of my mom and bursting through the doors like a maniac child. Eventually, I was stamped and literally screeching as I ran around to all the games and playsets. After a bit, I stumbled on over to a game like Whack-A-Mole, but with sharks, right by the staff-only room.
Okay.
This is why you don't take your kid to Chuck E. Cheese. It's constant screaming, cheap ass food. No, no. Save yourself. Don't.
All right.
One shark whacking minute later, I'd won the game. Before I could squeal in success and collect my tickets, my ears caught the sound of something very strange going on near the staff-only room. I could hear someone say, "Test number 15 on mutated rat results in angered behavior, such as throwing desk and scientist at the wall. That is oddly specific and strange." I then began to wonder what in the world they could be talking about. I'm sure it had nothing to do with you being 5 or 6. Maybe they were making a new game. Being so young, I had no idea, no idea at all what was actually going on in there. Being curious and feeling a bit interested, I pressed myself against the door and listened in as carefully as a 6-year-old could.
All right.
Ooh. Okay.
I composed myself.
Okay.
I'm feeling better, but I just want to say, proofread your work, and editing is very important, so that it doesn't sound like something that it shouldn't be.
Yup.
I realize I'm in my 20s, but I'm still a teenager at heart.
Actually 12.
All right.
Yeah.
I could hear them snapping at each other. Things like, "What are we going to do with this beast?" and "Get it away from me!" A mumbled shout poured over whoever was in there and replied with a louder, "We can't just kill that thing. It's a beast version of our mascot." Who the hell would say that where there's an open door?
Why the hell are they testing mutated rats and shit in a Chuck E. Cheese?
Also, why is this room that they're doing their tests in only blocked by a single door with the words employees only or the staff room? Why is this not in the stereotypical basement under the restaurant? I would...
Because then the kid would have no reason to find it.
The talking stopped. I blinked for a second and pressed myself closer to the door. I quickly realized that this was a very bad mistake, as the door opened from my weight against it. Wait, was the door open?
Apparently not.
I slipped in, going from leaning on the door to falling face flat on the ground of the staff room. Well, that doesn't sound like you slipped in. It sounds like you fell in.
Yeah.
Immediately, footsteps trampled over to me, hands grabbing at my arms. I was out like a light in a few seconds, and I still don't know what the hell they did to do that. Well, probably knock you out.
One punch!
I woke up slowly, my eyes feeling heavy, and my body feeling weak, in some kind of interrogation room. What? A tall man with a serious expression, wearing the cleanest white lab coat I'd ever seen, began walking towards me out of the blue. Like he knew I'd be awake. Like he knew I was awake. What? What?
I mean, if you remember this, you were clearly awake. Therefore, he knew you were awake. Right.
I'm I'm tr- I'm trying to figure out why he said it twice.
Well, it's about to get worse based off of the next line.
He he said the same thing twice. His voice was deep, and it was scratchy from what I could tell when he began to speak. You know, don't you? You know, he said. God damn it.
Yep. You know that I know that you know that I know that you know.
That you don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was a 6-year-old, half knocked out at Chuck E. Cheese, so I didn't know what they expected from me. I babbled for a second, letting my tongue function correctly. What? I replied dumbly, blinking hazily. He grabbed my arm, making the static feeling intensify somehow. Glad that was established. He pulled me a bit, making me whine, though I quickly shut my toddler trap when a loud banging on the door echoed through the room. Naturally, me being so young and clueless, I screamed, thrashing around. The man let go of me, snapping at me to shut my mouth.
Okay. This guy uses snapping a lot. I don't like it. It's lost its meaning now. He's used it like 50 bajillion times. Also, adverbs. Adverbs for days.
Always.
Like, look at this. I replied, dumbly, blinking, hazily. Jesus. Like, oh my word, dude, take a breath. Oh my god, so many adverbs. Oh my god, they're all over the place. I can't do it. Can't even.
Forgetting about almost everything. I thrashed around some more, slipping out of my chair. I kicked my legs, going into the corner of the room. All right, I'm gonna need a live demonstration of how exactly that would look. I screamed again, banging my foot against something, making a loud metal clang against my foot. We have established that it is your foot that is the object being acted upon. Thank you.
Hey, I need you to take those all caps. Go fuck yourself. Another thing you don't do. No all caps. You don't need all caps. Fucking stop it.
I twisted around and whined down at an air vent? Okay, maybe it's just because we've read too many of these at one time, but I'm not understanding this.
I think he meant to say went down an air vent.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I think he's saying he went down an air vent, I guess. I don't know.
And it's spelled Whined. That's whined, right?
Yeah, that's whined. Whined was written, but I think he meant to write went.
Went down at an air vent?
I think so.
Huh.
I don't know. It's trash. That's the answer. It's trash. It's all trash.
Clearly, because I'm just staring at this, and we've read so many of these, I've turned stupid.
Rip. Never forget.
I kicked it again, out of scared, hot anger. You know...
Scared, hot anger? How can anger be scared? Go fuck yourself.
I'm just reading this and being an optimist. I'm hoping it gets better. It never does. It just gets worse.
Yeah.
With another loud scream and clang, the metal front popped off. Again, letting out letting out a shriek when I heard the man stomping towards me. Out of the noise of crawling metal and banging, I scooted inside, spitting at him. What just happened?
Like I'm guessing he's in an air vent. Like he's managed to get into an air vent. Or I don't know.
You know, it's like someone walking down a street and you're walking next to him and he's trying to tell you a story, and then you go down a flight of stairs and you end up walking down the stairs, but he just falls down them. But he continues to tell the story as he's falling down them. Like, it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Like, I guess he's getting into an air vent, and yeah, I guess he's just fucking. I don't know. I don't know.
We can't interpret stupid anymore. All right.
I'm assuming he's just like gotten an air vent and he's just fucking lost his mind.
All right. All we know is that he's in an air vent at this point. We think.
Yeah.
I was scared half to death. I mean, what was I doing here? Where is my mom? Thank God you're asking that question. What the hell happened to her? He swiped at me for a moment, but quickly pulled his hand back. You know what? I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, not looking back. There was another loud bang, and the man stepped back. Using my tiny little hands, I grabbed. Okay, so he wasn't even in the air vent. What? What is going on?
It's just making fucking sense. I'm starting to be suspicious that they turned him into some kind of rat or something, like some kind of weird mutant rat thing. I don't know.
Alright, where was I? Okay. Alright, I found my place. I grabbed the air vent's door. There's just one. Okay, that was my fault. I grabbed the air vent's door and pulled it back, pressing it on the door. What?
I don't know.
Just in time. Ellipses. A piercing hiss was followed by a shout from the stranger, and the loudest bang on the door. I crawled back, scooting into the vent. I had to leave. Even being so young, I knew I was in trouble. I hastily turned around with a bit of struggle, slowly crawling down the vent. A loud, manly scream echoed through the vent. Okay, just get away from the vent. Being followed by more. They were in unison with the sound of cracking and tearing. Ellipses, which I now know was flesh and bone from the stranger.
Yeah, okay, dude, whatever. I don't know, man. Just fucking whatever. I don't even care.
I got out as fast as I could. A small light was around the corner after a few minutes, and I stomped on it. You stomped on the light?
I guess.
It's like he's a cat and you're playing with it with a laser pointer. And he's
Yeah.
The opening of the vent easily popped open. God damn it, dude.
Adverbs. Paving the road to hell, yeah.
They really weren't paying attention to how tightly they were screwed on, were they? Why are you asking me?
This isn't the time to be asking that question.
This apparently isn't the time to be asking any questions because they're not being answered.
Yeah.
My feet stumbled as I climbed out, but were soon trampling to where I saw my mom last. And she was still there with a worried expression on her face. I ran up to her, hugging her tight. My eyes were now glazed with wet, hot tears. I wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home. I want this story to stop existing.
What the fuck? Okay. I'm wondering where the fuck this is supposed to be going, and I don't think it's going fucking anywhere.
Here we go. I want to go home, I whined and complained. My mother gave me a strange look. I just have my head in my hands at this point.
Yeah.
But put a finger on my cheek. You must be tired, sweetheart, she cooed, picking me up. I clenched my small fist, holding tightly onto her shirt. We walked out of the building, me being oh so lovingly carried to the car. Ah! A distant whir of sirens in the distance became a bit louder and louder, and police cars pulled into the large parking lot and skidded to a halt in front of the once amazing and fun Chuck E. Cheese. My mother almost ran to the car and quickly buckled me into the car seat, because that doesn't look suspicious at all. A couple hours later, home and safe that night. I walked out of my room to get some water before I went to bed, a habit of me trying to procrastinate so I didn't have to sleep, and my mother was watching the news. The reporter was talking about some kind of mutated rat coming out of Chuck E. Cheese and disappearing down the alleyways. So what happened to the real Chuck E. Cheese, God only knows. But I will never, and I repeat never, go into any damn Chuck E. Cheese for as long as I live. Christ!
I want to find who wrote this. I want to meet them face to face. And then I want to take just every bit of salt and lemon juice I can get my hands on. And I want to pour it into their eyes. I want them to suffer.
Like,
I want them to know pain.
I want to know what kind of drug trip this guy was on while reading this.
It's not even a drug trip. A drug trip is actually fun. That was just fucking boring. Man, if you had that as your drug trip, I'm sorry. You got a shit dose. Dude. Whatever the fuck you got. Get a refund.
But
Holy shit.
my God, that was so bad.
Oh my god, in the comments on Wattpad. Holy shit.
What are they? Send me the link to that Wattpad thing so that I can see them.
I knew I couldn't trust Chuck E. Cheese. This was amazing. Good story. Thank you so much for re-uploading my creepypasta here. It was unfortunately deleted from Pastebin in the creepypasta wiki because it's trash. Is this a true story? Just kidding. I'm glad I live in Australia, not America or anywhere near a Chuck E. Cheese, but we do have Outback Jacks. Enjoyed that. Wonder what happened to the mutated rat after all. Like, fucking why? Y'all are stupid. That was trash.
You know, I'm actually not surprised that it was deleted from the creepypasta wiki, because this doesn't even live up to the crap standards that page has. God, this was awful.
I don't even I don't know words at this point. I feel spiritually defeated. Um, I haven't read something that ass in a long time. I think I actually would have preferred to just reread Just the Killer, because at least that I could genuinely get a laugh at.
When
This, I'm just like, fucking why?
when a story can make Jeff the Killer look good, you you done fucked up. Just
Yeah, yeah.
and
I just don't even. I can't.
ooh,
I can't. This is it. I have no words. No words. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to this.
it's it's like the feeling that you've been recording a video for like 4 hours and then it just either one, you find out that the recording crashed and there's no way to get it back, or you're playing a game that has a goal in mind and you just can't get to that goal and it won't ever stop and you just feel so defeated.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feeling that I have now, only God, it just doesn't even match up to it. Like, I would rather record a 4-hour video and lose the audio than read this again. Like, I want something to break.
Yeah. Just fucking should not exist.
No.
Wipe it out. Delete it. Remove it. Does not need to exist.
No.
Burn it from the records. Which, reading that comment of how it was removed from the creepypasta wiki, I'm like, good. One less source.
That was terrible. Those are the only words that I can find. That
I'm just, I just, fuck no.
I think that defeated sigh says it all.
Yeah. I haven't read something that bad in a while. Reminds me of that time in my writing courses. Had a guy, had this fucking guy. Oh man, a year into the program, and this guy brings in this story that's in like a typewriter font,
Oh, boy.
size 14, like 2-inch margins. Format, it was just fucked 7 ways to hell. And his story just didn't really go anywhere. It was like pretty much like a couple like quick peeks into like these two guys' lives as they like met over the years at this bar,
Yeah.
and then one of them dies, and that's pretty much it. Like, you find out one of them was like trying to infiltrate the mafia and all this, and then that one dies, and that's it. And so then it proceeded to be like essentially an hour of us grilling him, of being like, your formatting is wrong. You do it in Times New Roman, 12-point, 1-inch margins. Get it together. You're a year into the program. Also, your story is bad. That kid almost cried.
Well,
actually, no. I've read something worse.
Oh boy.
Than Chuck E. Cheese. In my master degree class.
Oh boy.
It's online. But there was a student in one of the classes I had, and holy shit, she was writing like this shock value thing where it was like a classmate or something like trapped the protagonist in a hole somewhere. It was bad. Like, no scene descriptions, punctuation errors here and there. bad dialogue. It was awful. Almost the entire thing was dialogue, and the dialogue didn't make any fucking sense. It was awkward and clunky. It was awful. I should. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I should see if I still have the file. Uh, I don't think there should be. I don't think there's any rules against sharing it. Um, as long as I don't reveal who it is, should be fine.
Yeah, if
I doubt they'll ever see it.
If-
It's bad though. It is really bad. But it actually thematically kind of fits the creepypasta vibe.
well, if you want us to read it on critical analysis, we can certainly do that. I will be willing to read something that is worse than what we just read.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's
so bad.
All right, as long as we don't reveal who the author is, and especially if it's coming from this channel, I doubt anyone from your class will ever see it or recognize it. So we should be safe.